right, I'm going to start. There we go. The idea of these courses and this alchemy that I teach is that everybody can get to be able to do their own process. You know, I love to give one-on-one sessions. I love to give to teach and to give holistic therapy.
And the roles, yeah.
Sorry. To teach to give sessions of holistic therapy and sort of try to figure this out for people, try to figure out how their own personal and unique tie is in a route for evolution. But I also like to be able to give people their own tools and their own capacity to elaborate this process, because after all, we are our own teachers, and we are the ones who can most detailing in a more detailed way understand what's our actual process of evolution. So if you learn the techniques to
directly
for yourself, then that's the idea of the course. Now, the question is, and I'm going to share here again, the question is how, through alchemy, we can achieve this process of self-investigation and transformation. Let me see if I can go back. Some of you are joining back in. And here. So, well, this is a brief history of how we can trace alchemy. Since ancient Egypt to modern alchemy. Okay, and this is some of the people that, if you are interested in reading a little more, these are teachers that have left really important works to learn from. We have the ancient Egyptian alchemy, which has happened in the Old Kingdom to the New Kingdom, and the figures that we can study from this time is Hermes Trismegistus. There was a woman called Cleopatra the Alchemist, not necessarily was the same Cleopatra that we know who was the empress, but there was this figure that if you read about it, you'll find her. And then Mary the Jewess, she was a little bit more close to the to the newer ages of ancient Egyptian culture, more to the Alexandrian population and etc. Mary the Jewess is very known because she invented the Baño Maria, or the Mary bath, or the double boil process. So she was an alchemist. Then we have the Greco-Roman alchemy, which is the time that we have the most recollections from, because once the libraries of Alexandria were burnt, it is known that the only people who could recollect some of the knowledge from ancient Egypt were the Romans and the Greeks. And we have people like Chemes, Zosimos of Panopolis, and Ostanes. These were alchemists of this era. Then we have a moving of the alchemy to the Arab world. Ibn Umayyad, I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing this. He was a very known alchemy of this traditional Arabic alchemy. And then from all this Arab knowledge, I think, is where we start moving to Europe. And the first Renaissantist and medieval alchemists are the ones who start picking up these concepts of alchemy again. Well, we have Paracelsus, Albertus Magnus, Roger Bacon, a lot more modern. He was from England, I think. Raymond Lull, Ortolanus, John Dee was also an English mathematician and alchemist. Basile Valentine. If you want to read anything from these authors, you will find this very difficult to read alchemy books. And then we have the modern alchemy, which has to do a little bit more with what Carl Jung sort of brought back from the field of psychology. And there are other writers like Rudolf Steiner, which is the one I was talking to you about with occult physiology. Eugene Cancelliet, Fulcanelli and Frater Albertus. These are more modern alchemists that have really nice works, because I feel that more in the modern era, alchemy has become more of a psychological and spiritual path, as opposed to maybe the medieval alchemists, who were more concerned with the transmutation of the elements and the transmutation of metals. Well, this is a little bit of where the Egyptian alchemy came from. It said it was brought up by the god Thoth, or Thoth Hermes, like he was known afterwards, because Hermes was for the Greeks and the Romans, or Mercury. And this figure was supposed to be either the same person or a mysterious character that nobody is very certain whether he existed or how his information came through. But through his knowledge, we know today the Emerald Tablet, which you need to read. It's I don't think we have time to go through it today, but is the very core principle of Hermetic spiritual alchemy. It has the laws as above, so below. It has the laws that we're going to work with in alchemy, which is climb up to the skies, descend into the earth, and then rise up again, which is the process that the soul and the alchemical elixir has to do. It has to collect the forces of the celestial and of the terrestrial. So the two experiences are needed. But then it doesn't stay in the terrestrial, but it lifts up the earth. It lifts up the knowledge that it recollected in the earth back to the spiritual realm. And this is the passage that we need to do, and how we need to conceive spirituality in human beings. Also, well, the word alchemy itself is known as it's supposed to come from the root alchem, which means the chemistry of God, or more even so, alchem in the word chemia actually comes from what means the dark or the black earth. And this is related, this black earth is related with the process of fertilization of the earth in the banks of the Nile. So in the banks of the Nile, when you know that alchemy was born in Egypt, and Egypt is a desert, and the only way that life grows and the only way that they could grow their food was by the irrigation of the Nile, and this putrefaction and fertilization process that the earth will go through to be able to carry life. And this is a very alchemical process. This is actually the phase of nigredo in alchemy, which is the first step. Nigredo, or blackening or darkening, is the first process that we go through to create an elixir, because it's through putrefaction and it's through fertilization that a sterile material can actually become fertile and can grow life, yeah, in a physical way, but also in a spiritual way. Because what we are looking, as we said at the beginning with alchemy, is transforming this spirit, or being able to give birth to this spiritual self that we all carry inside, but it's all hidden and let's say like dulled by a lot of conditioning, by a lot of ego, and by the mind of the ego, and the things that our society, our family, and our own preconceptions and preconditions tell us, right? So what we're trying to do is polish that. And in alchemy, that is called opening the dirt, opening the earth, which is our body, so that more soul and more spirit can permeate, right? When we're going to plant a seed, what do? We open the earth, and we first clean that earth and maybe fertilize it. And we open it so that the sun, the rays of the sun, and that particle of life can come in. And then we put the seed, and then we let it there to rest. So it's an analogy of these paths. So this word alchem is the sacred dark earth. Is the and we know that the Egyptians had a very important mortuary practice, and so they were a culture that paid a lot of attention to this darkening aspect and how that creates the new life. This is why the funerary processes were meant to allow their pharaoh or their people that they consider sacred and holy to be able to move to the next step of life after death, after passing. So yes, I told you a little bit of the etymology of the word alchemy. I told you a little bit about how alchemy is related with astrology. We talked a little bit about the beginnings of alchemy. So what do we have? Well, the difference is, this is a bit of a curiosity. So the difference, how did alchemy become chemistry, is when we became, as a species and humans became more interested in the material plane, in the material gain of alchemy. And there's a lot of scams and a lot of people who started back in the Middle Ages, started making fake gold and things like that to become rich. And from those practices, they became more dexterous in the practice of transforming metals, and some discoveries were made in the field of chemistry. And this is how chemistry derives from alchemy, from the lab experiments. Now, chemistry is perfectly important in our lives today, but alchemy talks about something else. After all, the laboratory experiments in alchemy are meant to be about this spiritual transformation that needs to be done over matter. This is why we transform substances, because we need to see in the world that evolution and that spiritual ascension is possible. And this was shown to me in an example that it might be simple, but it really stuck with me, which was that there's a way of making an alchemical elixir when you reduce a herb, and we were working with camphor, with it's a tree, camphor, and it's very scented, it's very minty. It's a beautiful plant. It's a plant of the moon, ruled by the moon. And we were working with the leaves of the camphor tree, and we turned those leaves into an alcohol, and we turned those leaves into ashes, and we also turned those leaves into essential oil. It's a crystal, really, the camphor essential oil. And there is something that happens that is part of the process of the elixir, which is that you grab the ashes and you add on the essential oils, and you let them gestate in a flask with a human temperature at about 36 degrees. And that powder, those ashes that you mixed with these essential oils, start volatilizing, and they vaporize all the way to the top of the flask and turn into crystals. These are crystals born of the air. It's something incredibly delicate and sophisticated, and it's the soul arising, and that is the soul of the plant arising. So that, seeing that experience with my own eyes, sort of made me believe that anything is possible. If matter can really do this, then it is possible to make matter subtle, to become spiritualized, to let the spirit in, and to become an expression of the soul, right? So yeah, that's what separates the art of alchemy from the art of chemistry. Now, so far, I know I've been speaking a lot, and I have no idea if you have taken in any of what I have been saying, or I'm being crazy to you. So let me know what you think from when you came in to this chat to this point. Those of you who told me that they didn't know what alchemy was and etc. What do you think now? What are you questioning inside of yourself?
I have a question.
Okay.
How do you turn the camphor leaf into ashes? Is it something, does it have to be dried first and then like what's the procedure? And also how do you get the essential, how do you make it into an essential oil?
Well, this is very interesting, and I don't know if I have it in this presentation, but these are the 7 laboratory procedures of alchemy, which coincide with the 7 stages of consciousness that start from our 7 chakras. If you know anything about yoga, Hinduism, you maybe will be familiar with this language, with this a concept, right, of the chakras, which is our centers of energy, the centers of and these centers start from the root. Sorry, I'm going to mute you because I can hear myself. These centers start in our root chakra, which is actually in our sacrum, in the base of our sacrum. They rise up to the 2nd chakra, 3rd chakra in the middle of the stomach, 4th chakra in the heart, 5th in the throat, 6th in the 3rd eye, and the crown chakra is the 7th. The same is with the operations of alchemy. So the first operation that we talk about is calcination. Alchemy starts with getting rid and burning every preconception and every judgment that we have. So the first step is we're not going to stop with the beautiful experiments. It's about burning. It's about creating ashes. So it's simply burning the plant. This is the first step. We burn the plant to extract. What are we doing when we are burning? In all senses. We are submitting to the element of fire. Everything that is superfluous will disappear. And the only thing that will remain is our very tie to this realm, to the earth realm. The ashes is the last link, right, to the earth. And the ashes come back to the earth. They don't leave, they don't ascend. So this is the first step, is what gives us, and this is why it's the root chakra, because it gives us our rooting and how we are connected to the earth, and through which too we can heal the earth. If we wouldn't be connected to the earth, we wouldn't be able to download that energy and transmit it to the earth. So simply calcination is the first process. And you asked me about essential oils. Essential oil is the 6th process, number 6, and it's related with our 3rd eye. It's very, it's another scale, right? It's very subtle. Distillation is the process that allows us to transform the water with the plant element, in this case, the camphor. It's in water, and when we distill it through vapor and condensation, we end up having essential oil from the same plant. And this process of distillation is very related with the 6th chakra and the 3rd eye, because it's about discrimination in the good sense. It's about being able to discern what is the most subtle of every situation. We have a plant that is in water now, but it contains something that is very volatile, something that is very subtle, and it's the soul. The essential oil is the soul of the plant. It's the most pure expression of that plant. It's also our purest expression. So when we reach the knowledge of the 3rd eye, we can start discerning what is ours and what is not, what comes from outside and doesn't form part of our own self, and what truly is part of us and we are unable to express or to bring about. So those are the 2 processes that you were asking about. Okay, anybody else?
Okay, 2 processes. The ashes relates to the root chakra and the 3rd eye relates to essential oil.
Yeah, the 6th is the process of distillation.
Or could you scan through what the other chakras relates to?
Okay. Okay. Let me see if I have a visual to help with this. Let me see if I can find these processes so that you can see them in relation. Oh, sorry, I can't find it now. Well, this is course material because we weren't going to go that deep today. Here, so we had the root chakra with its red color, and it's related with calcination. Oh no, sorry, it's the wrong file. This only has calcination. But anyways, so the second process, which is the womb, or is the second chakra, which is the chakra that has to do with gestation and is where our Kundalini energy is. So that process is very feminine, and it's about dissolution. I could go into the specifics, but I would like to invite you to the course to be able to go to the specifics of what these processes are. Because the dissolution is a part where we are able to, we already got rid of our body in the combination. We only got what's the core in that body. And now, so we are bodiless. So we are very in a state of dissolution. We are in a state of, just let me mute here because I hear sounds. Okay, there we go. We're in a state of dissolution in a very, if you know anything about astrology, it's a very Pisces state where everything sort of merges together but has no form and has no definition. So this is dissolution. Now in the third chakra, or the stomach, the solar plexus, is when we do our first separations. This is where we start to discern. Now the third chakra has to do with our own manifesting our own self, manifesting our personality, having that solar energy. But it's just the third process. It's not the crown process yet. So it's a stage of separation of the body of the plant gets separated of its mercury and sulfur, which is, these are concepts that I didn't get to explain to you yet. The body of the plant separates from its spirit and its soul in the means of alcohol or water, or depends on the material that we're using. So we start separating in this discerning, but in a lower level, in a lower energy, what is each of our constitution? What are our parts? What are our constitutions? And we stay in that stage of separation for a while until we are able to process each of our parts to purify them at most. So I'm going to show you here this. Salt or ashes is the body, means the body. Like when you are going to see these symbols in an alchemical book, this is what they mean. The mercury, which is the same symbol as the planet, but we're not talking about the same mercury. Here we're talking about the spirit. The spirit is the homogeneous life force that permeates everything that exists. It's not individualized, it's the sea of life, really. That's the mercury. It links everything together. And then we have the sulfur, which is the soul. And this is the most subtle part of the individual. These elements then correspond. The salt, or the body, corresponds with ashes, the ashes of the plant. The mercury, or spirit, corresponds with the medium in which we are going to transform that plant. So it could be alcohol, it could be glycerin, it could be water. It's a space where the body and the soul are able to expand, merge, transform. It's the uterus, that liquid, that amniotic liquid that is in the uterus. So that's the mercury. And the sulfur, the soul, this more subtle expression, usually is either the essential oils of the plant or the resin that or the crystals that we can extract from it. So it's most concentrated and pure expression. So to get these three principles from any plant and from any person, from any human, from any spiritual process, first we need to do this process of separation. Let's separate and identify them and work with them to see in what stage of evolution these three components are. Now, in the heart center, the fourth chakra, there is the first reunion of these components. And this is when we reunite the cells of the plant with its essential oil and its alcohol. And again, the heart chakra is the doorstep to whatever is above, right? We have a presence in this earth, and through the heart chakra, we start getting to more subtle realms and aspects of our consciousness too. The fifth chakra that is related with the throat is the process of exposition to the dew. This is a process because this chakra is about expressing, but it's also about whatever comes inside. It's about listening. It's about what type of things are we letting in? What is the information that comes in? And then what of that information also comes out? So in this stage, we expose, it's very specific laboratory operations. We expose ashes to the dew of the night, because it is said in the whole tradition of alchemy, and it is known that the dew carries a seminal seed from the heavens, from the sky. So it brings out a fire, a kind of sulfur, a kind of soul. It comes with an energy, what's called a nitro, that embeds in these ashes, in this body. So it reinforces its message. It reinforces the capacity of incarnating our message. 6, we talked about distillation. Distillation can bring about two things. It can bring about essential oils, or it can bring about alcohol. Depends on what type of distillation we're doing. When we do a fermentation of a plant, we need to distill it to get the alcohol. And that's the way we get alcohols like vodka, whiskey, a lot of alcohols that come from plants, from grains normally, that are distilled to get fermented and distilled to get alcohol. So there are different types of distillation depending on what's the product that you want to achieve. And well, finally, the 7th process is the reunion. Now it's the reunion of the 3 principles, salt, mercury, and sulfur, completely purified and completely, when they already got rid of everything that wasn't essential, anything that was on the way, and it wasn't the true message of that plant. So when you get an elixir of a plant, it's a substance that is united completely. It doesn't have 3 parts anymore. It's one. It's whole. It is. It's just the verb. It is. So from that wholeness, it can radiate the medicine that it came to bring about. The same if we do the entire process and we get to the process of reunion, which is a sort of illumination, we can finally put back our principles, our parts, the parts of ourselves in balance, so that we emanate the energy that changes the world around us, that affects other people and other beings in a positive way. So we can radiate that union. And this is one of the principles of alchemy, as within, so without. So if within we are united, we are whole, then we can project that wholeness outside in the world, and things around us are going to start to shift in a way. This is another of the things I talked about at the beginning, the casualities, the chances, the different chance that I experienced, that I later on realized that these were my causalities. So they were an effect of my causes. So I caused these opportunities to arise by working on my internal alchemy. And so my path started sort of the pieces of the puzzle started falling and led me to where I had to be. And this is a little bit of the process that I would like to explore with you, with whoever is interested in doing this. The course, the Alchemy course on my website is I have a question here in the chat. I'm going to check it out. The course, as you can tell, is very practical. It's not as complicated as it sounds. It all makes a lot more sense when you do the actual experiences instead of talking about it. And this is why from the beginning, I let you know the importance of the practice, because it sort of brings everything down to earth. And what do we end up with in the course of alchemy is hopefully a bigger understanding of ourselves, but also some medicinal elixirs. We end up with a medicinal plant for something that maybe we did it for our own horoscope, for our own planetary constitution in our astral chart. So we can make a medicine for ourselves, or we can simply do a medicine for something that we like, choosing the plant according to whatever we want to create. So we're going to end up with a plant medicine and with an internal process that hopefully made us make more sense of what stage of the process we're in, how we can move forward, what things need to be redone and restarted. And that is a little bit of the invitation. I'm going to see if I can, I'm going to write to you in this chat, my website, so you can visit. And you can also find that in my Instagram if you came through my Instagram today. So I'm going to stop sharing here and I'm going to listen. I think we have about 7 minutes and I would like to hear your last comments. I know that this is a subject that we could go on and on and on and on for hours. This is the reason why I offer the course, because I know that there's a lot of things that people end up wanting to know, but the best way is to be able to put it in practice.
Hi, Luciana. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, yeah.
Okay, great. I'm driving, so you may hear some background noise.
Oh, but I can hear you.
Yeah, first of all, thank you so much for taking your time out to educate us about alchemy. I've always heard the phrase, but to be honest, I've never looked it up. I have no idea what it means until now. And I came in late, so I missed the first part of the presentation, but I just wanted to try to summarize in my own words what I think your presentation is about. So is it that you're saying alchemy is using material stuff occurring in nature, plants and so on, and then you pull them apart into their different constituents parts, but also there's a philosophical explanation as well as you go through the different process of pulling apart the plant into its different parts, whether it's salt, mercury, and so on, and then to create something, an elixir or medicine, right? I don't know if that's...
Yes.
Okay. Well, I wanted to know, because in Jamaica here, we have what you call herbalists, right? So these are people who work, they use the plants to make medicines and so on. Is that the same thing as alchemy?
Well, the difference between herbalism is that sometimes it doesn't take into account these 3 principles that the alchemy works with, which are the body, the spirit, and the soul. Alchemy makes sure that these 3 parts are taken into consideration when making an elixir. Whereas usually it depends of the background of the person, really, of the herbalist, but usually herbalism is more related with chemistry. So it's about the chemistry of the plant and how the plant heals a certain thing. Doesn't necessarily explores the astrology of the person. It doesn't necessarily explores the soul and the spirit realm, you know. It's usually about healing with herbs, if that answers your question.
Oh, okay. So with alchemy, is it alchemy specific to a particular client that you're working with? So is it that you're using plants that maybe are more compatible with this person based on their astrological information?
Exactly. And it's more the path of alchemy. Yeah, the path of alchemy is in the course mostly is for the person to discover a journey It's a journey of evolution that the plant is going to do at the same time that you do it. So you go through the internal evolution, and you see it through the experience with the plant. You see the plant transform, you see the plant burn, and there you burn your intentions. You burn those things that you don't want to inside of you anymore. And this
So
is
it's so it's happening simultaneously. The person is having an experience whilst you're working with the plant. So the plant is going through the person is going through the very stages that the plant is going through. So is it like a ritual kind of like thing?
It is. Yeah.
Okay.
Really,
Okay.
Yeah, because the importance of transforming this plant is putting the intention behind it and understanding the processes that we also want to transform. Obviously, we're not gonna do all the things that the plant has to do. That's why the plant has to be our conduit, right? So the plant is an ally, and the plant is a spirit there that is aiding us and is helping us. So it's sacred. That plant that we choose, that we're going to put through all this strong transformation to not have to put our own body through this. We do it in our psyche, this transformation, but the plant does it in their body. So it's that understanding that also brings us closer to the power of nature.
Because the plant in itself is also a being.
Absolutely. And this is why we have to treat, and that's also something that maybe herbalism doesn't have, that alchemy has, is treating the plant or the subject with utmost respect, because it's not like buying a pill in the pharmacy and taking it. It's not about what it's going to do for us. It's about what we're going to do together and how we're going to honor that plant as the conduit for our own evolution. It brings an entirely different meaning.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for participating. We have 2.5 minutes for one more question. Please remember, be in contact with me. Like, if you're really interested in this and you want to go deeper, be in contact with me and I'll be able to answer to your questions. For anybody, does anybody not know where to find me, or do you all have my Instagram to contact me? Just let me know. And also, if you would like to have like a second go of this type of course, let me know and we can organize something again.
The plant is a conduit. Isn't like food the same thing, but on a less density level?
It's the same thing as what?
Eating food. Eating food a conduit, just the same?
Absolutely. And that's what happens with alchemy, is that we start seeing that this process happens at all levels and with everything. It happens in our psyche. It happens internally, so that when we eat, obviously our body is our most natural first alchemist. Our body alchemizes, transforms substances in its best and gets rid of that is toxic for us. So it's an incredible alchemist. So food is alchemy, breathing is alchemy, working with herbs, using crystals, all of this can be understood from an alchemical point of view.
Similar like eating based on our blood type and stuff like that.
What was that last? I hear you very slowly.
Similar like eating based on our blood type?
You mean the alchemy that happens in the blood? Yeah. There is part of animal alchemy too. Like, we can work with honey, which is animal alchemy. We can work with, well, there's a lot of people that works with all sorts of fluids. So everything all that transformation happens at a molecular level as well as in a physical level. Yes, absolutely. So in the chat, if you can see, I posted my website. There is medicinaisiderium.com, and I also posted